So we're now going to take a look at another example that's relevant for programming assignment 1B. And this is example EX32 in my GitHub repository, live lessons repository. I'll put the URL when I post the video up here shortly. So this particular example is going to show some techniques for concatenating lists of string objects together. Although, as you'll see, it's going to use some techniques that are relevant. One of the examples we're not going to take a look at here because we're not at that point. But I'll look at some examples using streams. And the purpose of this example is to show you something called flatMap. So let's take a look at what we're going to do. We're going to have a main program down here that's going to generate a list of random integers. It's going to generate this many of them, and it's going to have an upper bound and a lower bound. So if you take a look upstairs at the beginning, you'll see that we're going to have 3 of these, I think. Yeah, we're going to have, 5 ints, and we're going to concatenate them 3 times, and they're going to be the values from 1 to 10. And then what we're going to do is we're going to show a couple of different ways to concatenate stuff. I'm not going to show you the RX Java way at the moment. We'll maybe come back and talk about that later in the course when we talk about reactive programming. But I'm going to look at 2 stream examples. And they're kind of fun. And the second one is really the one I want to focus on. So this first example takes a list of strings and a value n. And n is the number of times we want to concatenate things together. So let's say it's going to be 3. So we start by creating an empty stream, which is a perfectly legitimate thing to do with a stream. And then we're going to go ahead and iterate while minus minus n is greater than or equal to 0, so 3 times. And we're going to say stream.concat. We're going to give the stream. We're going to turn the list into a stream, and we're going to make a new stream. And we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep adding the list at the end of the other list, the stream at the end of the other stream. And when we're done, we return the stream converted to a list. So we're basically just adding things to the end. So that's one way to do it. Let's take a look at another way to do it. And this is really what shows the technique I want to focus on here. So this approach is going to generate a stream of integers from 1 to n, where n is going to be 3. So we have 1, 2, 3. And then we ignore the value, and we're just going to basically use this as a functional for loop. And we're going to call this method called map to obj. And what that does is it's going to go ahead and emit the list here n times. So we're going to have a stream of lists of strings. So we're going to have this list occur 3 times in a 3-element stream with the list each time. And then what we're going to do, and this is really the whole point of this, is we're going to use a very cool intermediate operation in Java streams called flatMap. And flatMap does a couple of things. We're focusing on it, in this case, in a particular way, but it does something else, too, that's important to understand. flatMap takes the stream of lists of strings and flattens it. Think of like a steamroller coming along and flattening it out. It flattens it into a single stream of string objects. So rather than having a stream of lists of string objects, it takes each list and it flattens its elements into a stream. So we have a stream of strings as a result, not a stream of lists of strings. And that's going to be very useful for assignment 1B in certain places. And then we take that stream and turn it back into a list. So when we run this example, what we should see is the results that are produced when we run those different algorithms generating the results. So the original input would have been something like that. That would be the original generated random list. So we can see we concatenate that together, each of those 3 different ways. And of course, hopefully they'll all turn out to be the same because they're trying to get the same results. So that's just illustrating how you can use streams to do some interesting things like concatenate stuff together. And in particular, I wanted to focus on flatMap. So flatMap is really the key thing. Now, what we pass to flatMap is something that says, take the parameter, which was it's a stream of lists. Each parameter, convert that list into a stream. And the other thing this would do, which we didn't have to worry about, if the list were empty, which it's not, but if it were, flatMap ignores empty lists. So it just winnows away things that are empty. So that's that example there.